Hi, I'm Kathy Hoffman, and Christina and I are going to share a little bit about our feelings about the monsoon. Christina, would you like to introduce yourself before I
Uh,
share the screen to the PowerPoint?
Sure. I'm Christina Guenther, and I taught for 3 years at Woodstock between 2007 to 2010. I was the art teacher there, the high school art teacher, and I had the highest classroom on the campus. And I loved being at the very, very top. I got to see the clouds roll in from Monsoon. I got to see incredible valley views of Dehradun, and I loved just being up there.
I'm going to share the screen now, and we're going to look at this PowerPoint that I've called the fifth season because the reason I call it the fifth season, I don't know if I ever told you this story, Christina, is that I was teaching English poetry, Thomas Hardy or some such, and we were looking at the stages of life and relating them to the seasons, and they weren't quite getting it, of course. And so I said, I remember I was on my knee on the floor because I kept asking over and over again, what season comes after spring? And they were just looking at me and they were saying fall and different things. And I said, what season comes after spring? And this Nepali boy was looking at me like he wanted to somehow, please me or get it right. But he said, monsoon. And I said, oh, you're right. And that's how I thought, in India, there's more than just the four seasons. Actually, I was asking what comes after summer to try to get to fall because we were looking at that. Anyway, so that's why I call it the fifth season. And we have Suntour music playing. This PowerPoint was made in 2004, which I thought was just a few years ago, but actually it's long ago. And it was Indian literature in English class, and we spent some time writing poetry about the monsoon. So that's how this came about. And this was the first, I put a poem by each student into it. And the season makes its way through. The summer has gone. And probably people know that where the word comes from, it comes from the Arabic. And the Dutch turned it into the word monsoon. I'm playing, I don't know if you can hear it, Santur rag, a rag on the Santur, Meg Malhar. And it's very beautiful. If you can hear it, it actually sounds like rain falling. And then, of course, go ahead, Christina.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, it's such a suitable piece of music. That's exactly, like I listened to it this morning just to prepare, and I thought, oh, this just brings back so many memories of the rain on the tin roof. So like within the art class, there's a tin roof on the top of the building. And so it was it just mirrors this music. And and then it starts off slow and then it starts to kind of gain some momentum. And then it just comes down so hard that you can't even talk because it's just pounding the roof. And it was just such a great memory there with this.
Yeah. And for myself, it took me a few years, I think, to really appreciate the monsoon. And in preparing this class and teasing apart the motifs and the themes, that's when I really appreciated the monsoon and could, I guess, connect some of my thoughts about the sort of ethos of spring in my own background to what the monsoon is for India and the subcontinent. then it turns out it's in the paintings. This was all revelation to me, and perhaps not to you or not to many of the alumni that'll be seeing this, but those motifs appear in these Mughal miniatures. This particular set of haiku, I thought that the middle one was the most evocative for me. Green moss emerges, withering away the past and bringing new life.
Yeah, that is such a beautiful picture there, right? The moss covering every single thing, right? And then also the ferns that would grow on the sides of the trees. So thick and lush, and they were so green, such bright green. And you knew that it wasn't going to last, that bright green was not going to last forever. So you just tried to savor those moments, just those,
Yeah.
the pop of color, because you knew that it was going to be hot soon. Yeah. Or it'd be dry again, I guess I should say.
Yeah. In Missouri, yeah. Verse 2 and 3 here I liked. Slowly rises the breath of trees and moves towards its caller as it stretches and moves. It looks like a sprawling cottage sheet. Tip and tap, drizzle comes again, like connected music notes. Its tap joins before the tip ends, as white ants in all the woods. That tip tap, I thought, was, as you said, Christina, reminiscent of the sound of the drips on the roofs.
Yeah, and I also like this one because it talks about, the mist kind of coming and covering. And I mean, there was times where I was for sure that I saw clouds within my classroom. I thought, yeah, the clouds are within my classroom. Like they have rolled in, just kind of like the monsoon rolls in. And then, yeah, just thought.
I know, I used to think that too. The clouds are coming in. And yeah. When I came back to Minnesota and I see or when I would visit and see my nephews when they were little, and I'd say, in Missouri, you look down and see clouds and you look up and see a cow. And they just thought that was bewildering because, you could look up and see cows on the paths.
Yeah. Yeah, so true.
Yeah. So you see the motifs of the clouds and the lightning and the flock of birds that sort of mirror the shape of the lightning, and the lotuses blooming and things. Yeah. This poem is particularly evocative. I'm going to read the whole thing. Turn down the music a little, though I don't think you can hear it. These mountains, ancient beyond thought, were born into the monsoon's waiting hands. The feather mist kissed their forehead under the curling ferns of hair. She sang them a lilting drip-drop lullaby, sleep and sleep, dream and dream under moss blanket inside my clouds, sleep and sleep, dream and dream, then crying tears that stung my face and woke my heart. She left and a new day rose. And very lovely thoughts about the ancientness of it all. And
yeah, that is a beautiful poem with so much imagery within it. I mean, as you read it, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was just visualizing what this poem could look like in a piece of artwork.
Yeah, the ferns and the mention of the ferns and the drips and everything.
Yeah.
Some people, of course, really don't like the monsoon, and the alumni that are watching the parts of this video, I don't know what their feelings are, but the fear of the monsoon, she mentions mess and interesting, the shores of the Atlantic Ocean, dazed stillness before the chaos of the winds. The drips of the monsoon have begun to drop on the green land, the river, and the annihilated air. I don't know what she means by annihilated, but of course that heavy humidity, sometimes, especially when you were climbing the hills, you felt like you weren't able to get enough breath.
Yeah.
Snakes.
Yes.
I never worried about snakes, but it, leeches were more the fear.
Yes, exactly. I was remembering that too. I never thought, like, back here in Canada, we have leeches in water, but to have leeches on land, that was a very interesting idea for me, is that you didn't have to be, well, I mean, there was lots of water and there was wetness, but leeches would just kind of, as you were walking, cling onto your shoes or onto your pants, and you'd have to check for leeches, which I don't know. I understand that fear of the leeches. And I mean, once you kind of get a little accustomed to it and realize that that is a fairly normal thing that comes with monsoon, then it's okay. The other thing I was thinking about was the silverfoot, like the silverfish.
Oh, yes.
Would hide behind every picture frame or every piece of paper you would find that had eaten this, like almost like a lace-like pattern. Like in a way, it was kind of cool with how they ate the paper, but they could cause a lot of destruction too.
Yes, and I remember once pulling a piece of furniture away from the wall and finding behind there it was all silverfish in the shape of the furniture.
Oh, oh yeah. So I do understand where that person was coming from with their poem.
Yeah. There's the peacock. In this poem, I just picked out one verse to read. Verse 4, drip, splash, plop. Water propels itself from thorns of green cotton, echoing through my head, unceasing in its continuity. But even verse 3 is nice. Brief glimpses of oiled canvas reveal the joy in desolation. Orchids dot the furry carpet of cotton candy colored green with the moldy life tears bestow. Mushrooms multiply.
Yes, but another thing that came to my mind was the flowers that would come out after the rain, and how beautiful and bright they looked when the sun did shine. When, like, sometimes you'd get those glimpses of bright sunlight bursting through the clouds, and you could, I can see the valley, or I can see, further beyond my hand. But then the flowers would just look so vibrant against the green. I remember taking my art class. Because we were at the media center, at the very top was our classroom there. So we would kind of clamber around the hillside there and take our sketchbooks out and draw what we saw. So a lot of it was ferns and, the dahlias and the orchids and just the new growth, the moss.
Yeah. And actually, Christina, it's funny when you say that, that reminds me that when we did this little poetry exercise, we walked up to the top of the hill, and John Alter was kind of leading that discussion and helping the kids sort of get in a mindset to write poetry. And we went up there and he was having them touch things and listen and so forth. So it's the same kind of idea, to really immerse yourself in what's around you and get us to see it, Verse 2, wet mud as thick as butter, yet soft like the clouds enveloping the earth. And the solemn wideness of the world around us tells us that this is the time to begin.
Yeah, beautiful.
Here are the motifs again. And this poem is the last one in the ones that are in the PowerPoint. And I guess I'll read the whole thing. This whole thing is very evocative, not just about the monsoon, but the way the poet here, Kima, was relating it to his own stage of life and the things around him. And it's related to time. I look to my right, the tall deodar trees covered in green moss, almost like freshly laid carpet. I look closer, clear water dripping down to the ground. How I wish life was as truthful as this. I drag myself along, passing every corner in silence. My feet toddle through the puddles. Scenes from the past pass my mind. For the road I started with not only promised adventure, but surprise like life itself. It is the mid-August, when the wet clouds slowly pass by the ever-growing Himalayas, one of India's pride, not merely because of her rugged cliffs, but rather the promise she holds: I will always grow. I realize I stand on a road with history where all nations of the world have passed. To my left, the great cemetery, and to my right stood herself. This is the mid-August in Missouri.
Yeah,
and it is for me, it's the more evocative because I know the person who wrote it and who he was in 2004, and it's very, very amazing to me and descriptive.
Yes, I agree. Like, just, it's a beautifully written poem for sure. And I think just the reflectiveness of it, right? The quality and thinking of, you know, we experience monsoon like for the first time and what it means to us, but people have been experiencing it for centuries, for forever, right? And yeah, just, you know, thinking about that and about the past, about the cemetery. And as soon as you were reading it, I was visualizing everything. I knew exactly where this poet was writing from.
Yes, that's where we were, on that back chukker where the big cemetery is.
Yeah, yeah.
And what do you think herself is?
Oh, I was thinking, yeah, I know, personifying. I was thinking it was either the mountain, like kind of the Himalayas itself,
Yes.
or is it the monsoon?
Yes. Yeah. This is the mid of August in Missouri. And class of 2000, the English class in 2004. Well, Christina, I'm going to stop sharing there, and here we are back at the beginning. And thank you so much for agreeing to participate in this. Did you have any other observations you wanted to make about monsoon?
Well, I think something like, after talking to my husband, Casey, who also experienced a few monsoon seasons on the hillside there, whenever there's rain or whenever there's a bit of fog that kind of hangs heavy where we're living now, that doesn't happen very often, but we both kind of go, oh, it feels like monsoon. You feel like you're kind of enveloped within this embrace, this damp embrace. And we always say, we should make a pot of chai. And so sometimes we'll make a pot of chai and we'll sit there and we'll just kind of reminisce about what monsoon meant to us, what it means to us. And hopefully someday we'll be able to experience it again.
Yes. Well, thanks so much, Christina. And I had the added pleasure of getting in touch with you again since first time since 2009, I guess. And
Yeah, it's been
hearing
a while.
about your family and about your life in Alberta and
Oh, Manitoba.
Manitoba. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Manitoba, so you're closer to me in Minnesota than I thought. For some reason, I was thinking it was Alberta. Anyway,
No, that's okay.
thank you very much. And maybe we'll meet sometime.
That would be wonderful. Yes, thank you for inviting me to revisit Monsoon. And I mean, those poems are beautiful. They're beautifully written, and it's just really great to reflect on that. And I hope that students are still continuing to paint and to draw and to write about Monsoon, because it's a really special season. Long at times and lonely, yes, but it's new growth and new life.
Okay. Thank you, Christina.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye.